Welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you are here. I hope that you are staying cool in these very, very hot times that we are in. Yesterday was over 108 degrees where I'm at. Insane, absolutely ridiculous, insane. But I digress. I hope you guys had a great 4th if you were celebrating and kept it safe on that day as well, and just enjoyed yourself. Me, I went out and hung out with some family and friends, and I really did have a good time. It was nice. We stayed indoors, or as AC, because that was the only way to be. And I enjoyed fireworks from the comfort of my AC living room. And I am very happy about those choices. How about you? Feel free to drop down in the comment sections how you, celebrated yesterday, or if you chilled, relaxed, or whatever you did. I hope you took some time for yourself and reflection of all the good things that you have going on and would like to see going on. That was also a good way to spend yesterday as well. Well, as you can see, we are going to be taking a peruse down some interesting stories that I came up with that I was interested in. I wanted to share them with you. I wanted to see if you knew about some of this stuff, and probably did at least a couple of them. And I just wanted to get your thoughts, of course. And so the first person we are actually going to dive into is Miss Pat. Have you heard of Miss Pat by any chance? If you haven't, she definitely is someone that you need to pay attention to and to watch. She is one funny lady. Now, she actually has a couple of shows, and those shows are, I think, on BET Plus for the most part. But she also did stand-up comedy as well. But she's, very well known. She has a Miss Pat show, which also has a few other celebrity actors and actresses that we're familiar with in that show as well. And she also has Miss Pat Settles It. So she is, a real funny lady. She's a real busy lady right now. And I think she's probably just enjoying, every bit of what's going on for her, because at the end of the day, it's nice to have the recognition of others seeing your great work. And when I say this lady is funny, she really is funny. She's an absolute hoot. So yeah, definitely wanted to dive into a story that I heard that she was partaking in with the Breakfast Club, if you're familiar, I'm sure. So yeah, she was speaking with Charlamagne the God, and probably I would imagine Jess was on there, and as well as the other gentleman, I can't think of his name, and I don't know why. Oh, DJ Envy. Yeah. And they actually had a real funny conversation. But one thing that seemed to spark out of that conversation was the fact that she shared that she had been once fired, and she blamed a well-known other individual or personality, if you will, for that. So I thought, let's get into it. All right, let's just get into it. So go ahead and definitely sit back, relax. If you haven't gotten yourself something to partake in on, for a drinky drink, go ahead and do so. We're just relaxing, and we're just going through some stories here. I also have another story that actually turned into almost 2 stories built in one, but we're talking about Julie Chrisley's vacating situation. So if you're familiar or have been following their real life drama, if you over the Chrisleys, this is going to be one to watch. I am not super familiar with every aspect of what's going on, but I know enough, right? And so it was interesting coming across the story and some of the updates that is going on, especially into Julie's situation. And so I wanted to kind of cover those and share my thoughts and get your thoughts as well. And then I believe lastly, we're going to be talking about a potentially new reality show with some of the Bravo kids now turned grown up, trying to find a way to make it in Manhattan. So that's going to be interesting. You may have heard of that as well, but we'll talk about that, dive in that a little bit too. So why don't we just go ahead and start with Miss Pat first, because, comedy first always. All right. So according to Black Enterprise and NEWSBREAK.com, Miss Pat credits being fired from radio show to hater Big Tigger. Now, I know you might have heard of him. He's actually a funny guy too. Not really necessarily a comedian, I don't think, but he's been around in the DJ business for quite some time. Mind you, it is very hot, so I am definitely going to be keeping myself hydrated. I suggest you do the same if you're not already. So I was kind of surprised, because I always thought he was really considered just like the nice guy of the business. But yeah, she kind of just went there. So let's go there with her. Miss Pat thinks that she was fired from B103 thanks to her hater of a co-host, Big Tigger. I don't know why I'm laughing already. I mean, It's not funny to be fired, honestly, but it just sounds funny, doesn't it, the way she says it? But let's go on and get into it. Okay. Miss Pat is breaking her silence about being fired from 103 last year and seemingly crediting the termination to her hater of a co-host, Big Tigger. The actress and comedian appeared on The Breakfast Club. You know, there's all kinds of shenanigans going on there. So she appeared on The Breakfast Club, and I think it was probably a couple weeks now, where she got candid about being let go from B103. Miss Pat spent 2 years co-hosting the Big Tigger Morning Show with Big Tigger and Real Housewives of Atlanta stars Shamia Morton. And if you remember Shamia, she was, obviously been in and out on the franchise. And I don't know what's going on with Real Housewives of Atlanta. There's so much happening behind the scenes that we don't know how much we're going to see, if anything, in front of the camera. But Shamia is longtime friend of Candy Barris as well as Portia. So, we'll see what, come what may with that show. But if you, watch and have been watching for years and years, you'll be very familiar with Shamia. And yeah, she was on here and I didn't know that myself. So that was interesting. The actress and comedian appeared on The Breakfast Club, blah, 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 blah. Yes, Shamia, she sure did. And she had already had plans. Now, this is Miss Pat, excuse me, had already had plans to leave the show in August of 2023 and was shocked when she got fired before she got a chance to quit. Acquired, that's cute. At the morning show gig. Now she shares that she was blown away. This is what she told Charlamagne the God. I never thought I'd get fired from that job. Miss Pat says that she had already told the network about her plans to quit, but had assumed they would renew Morton's contract. But according to her, she and Morton were blindsided when they were both let go. Interesting. So we definitely want to make sure that Shamia gets her chance on Real Housewives of Atlanta, because I mean, that ain't cool. Yeah, not cool at all. Let's continue. The stand-up comic admits to rarely attending the morning show because of her demanding schedule filming her BET Plus sitcom, The Miss Pat Show. However, according to Miss Pat, her hater co-host Big Tigger played a part in her removal. That's what happens when you work with the hater, she added. Who's the hater? Charlamagne asked. You know who the hater is. Tigger, Miss Pat said. Tigger is the best. Well, I'm sure she said a colorful word there, hater. You had a good show and you messed it up because of your ego. To me, it was jealousy. I'm 52 years old. I don't have time to play games with you. You should have gotten fired a long time ago. She looked at it, but keep your little show. I never needed it anyways. Ooh, she is doing, shots fired, if you would say. In November, Miss Pat spoke highly of her time on B103, but only shouted out the network and Morton, avoiding any mention of Big Tigger. It was great, she told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I enjoyed working with Shamia and B103. I was hardly ever there anyway. Things were picking up so much, I had to skip a lot of days. Now, this is quite interesting, her take on things. I mean, obviously being fired from any job is not a cool thing to have happen, but some people don't mind it if they can't stand the place they're working at. Clearly, Miss Pat had a lot of other obligations in other shows and other things that she was doing, and she made no qualms of letting them know. So the question then relies, is it a good idea to share your plans of quitting a show before you actually quit it, or quitting a job rather before you actually quit it? You actually show your full hand before you're ready to do what needs to be done and move on. I would love to know your thoughts. Me personally, I would say you keep that close to your vest, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you want to be able to control your destiny. You don't want your destiny controlled by you or by you. You do want your destiny controlled by you. You don't want it controlled by somebody else, right? And at the end of the day, I thought it was very funny that she had really zoned in on the fact that, she thought that Tigger was a hater because she had herself shared how much she was going to be leaving and that she wasn't really there all the time anyway. So, I don't know where all this fits into. Clearly, it's still a bit of a issue for her to even bring it up. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just good for comedic flair. I'm not sure. But I would love to know your thoughts about that. Do you think Tigger was a hater? Or do you think that maybe at the end of the day, she was getting ready to go anyway, so they just helped her out sooner? Who knows? But of course, also wanted to share that if you haven't seen Miss Pat on a Miss Pat show, Tammy Roman is on that show as well, because they're all working and doing different things. Tammy Roman's on Family Business, which I believe picked back up on BET+1. I got to catch that this new season, because that is everything kind of show to me. She also does a House of Something, and she does a VH1 or MTV show, something about pretty much catching cheaters. I can't even think of all the names, but these ladies stay extremely busy, so it's nice to see them doing their thing. And Miss Pat, I mean, she is quite the hoop. She really is. I mean, and I've never seen her in stand up, but if you have, or you've seen her, previous shows or sharings or whatnot, share down below, and along with your thoughts about the story. So yeah, so that's what it is. Now, from what it looks like for Miss Pat, she's doing well right now. She is really just doing everything, getting her name out there, and the shows are doing, I think, really well. So that when she started out with Miss Pat, the Miss Pat Settles It show was like kind of a judge show, actually came after the fact, and it's running alongside with the Miss Pat show as well. So yeah, I mean, kudos to her, right? Can't never have enough jobs. So but that is wonderful. So definitely leave your thoughts below on that one. And while you're doing that, let's move on to the next story, because this is going to be quite a hoot for those of you who may or may not know, or may not be familiar. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit about the background as I know it and see it. And of course, anything that you want to share, respectfully, go ahead and throw those in the comment section below. Now, I remember a few years ago when there started to be informations and rumblings about the Chrisleys and some legal things that they were going through. Now, you may be familiar with the Chrisleys from their TV show, Chrisley Knows Best. I think they did 3 or 4 different iterations of this show. It's been going on for many, many years. They actually had their show aired on USA. So if you're at all familiar with them, that might be where you're familiar with them. I think that there also may have been some things that they've done outside of the show that maybe was fall in line with real estate and maybe some other type of businesses. So there was a lot of money flow, if you will, for this family, which is great when all things are done in the up and up. So, of course, in speaking of these terms, some of this would be alleged, because I wouldn't know all the exact details. I wasn't there. But yeah, that's the kind of the things that were being placed out in the ether, if you will, and letting us know what was going on. Now, famously, there was a case that I believe had to deal with tax evasion or tax situations within the Atlanta area. And at the height of that situation, I believe they had relocated to Nashville, because their show was filmed in Georgia, I believe. And then they continued the show in Nashville, and then things really just blew up from there. There was a lot of years attached to the situation, potentially for them, if both, as a couple, were convicted of the alleged crimes that were placed upon them. So that kind of brings us to here. Well, I kind of did skip over the part that both of them were convicted of the said crimes and then promptly put in jail. So at this point, they are both serving sentences in different locations. I believe one's in Kentucky and one's in Florida. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Julie was serving 12 years or so. And I believe her husband, he has got 17 years, something like that. So I believe this sharing will probably give some more details to that and kind of give a reference. I did find, obviously, some great information in regards to what's going on right now, because just recently, about a week and a half ago or so, her, Julie's case has, apparently her sentence has been vacated by a judge. So we're going to get into that a little bit in this story. I also have some information in regards to what kind of got us to this point here. So if you need that for a place of reference, this should help, get this to you, as well as even for myself. And definitely want to know your thoughts and as we go along. And we're just going to go ahead and get right on into it. So let's go ahead and start in on that sharing. So now, according to TV show Ace.com, Julie Chrisley appeals court vacates sentencing. Possibly going home soon? We'll see. Julie Chrisley was incorrectly sentenced for losses that she was accused of. That is the news that Chrisley Knows Best fans heard after Savannah Chrisley, which is her daughter, updated on the outcome of the oral appeal for Todd Chrisley and his wife. The news arrived on Friday of June 21st, so she will be remanded back to the district court for an amendment to her sentence and possibly to her record. And I feel like we'll probably be coming along with some news probably within a short period of time. So we'll see some updates for sure for this. And for those of you who may be familiar, this will be something you already know, but for those who may not be, now Savannah is their daughter, and she has really been taking, from what I can see, the mantle on doing everything she can to get her parents returned home, and in effect, effectively having their cases set back and vacated for both, and being able to get these records expunged and so forth and so on. She's also taken custody of her younger niece, which was actually the granddaughter of Todd and Julie, and she's also taking care of her younger sibling brother. I'm not sure how old he is now. I think he was maybe 16, 17 when they got remanded. It's been about a year or so now, so he may be already graduated from high school, getting ready to, if he has not already. So these are the things that this very young girl at 25, 26 years old has had to pretty much take on as, that lead in the family. And so she's been really working tirelessly to naturally get her family out of jail. And wouldn't any of us have to do the same? And God forbid that any of us would have to ever deal with something like that. But, definitely understand her plight and trying to see what she can do to get her family back home. So yeah, let's go ahead and continue. Julie Chrisley will likely go home sooner rather than later. Many people believe that Todd Chrisley and his wife are innocent. Meanwhile, even those who don't like them seemed a bit taken aback at the length of the sentences. The news about the appeal court is good news, recalled the mom of Savannah. Chrisley ended up being charged with more offenses than her husband. Between them, they currently serve their original sentence of a combined 19 years. Julie Chrisley's sentence has been vacated per Channel 2. The article had cited court documents as saying the district court did not identify the evidence it relied on to hold Julie accountable for losses incurred before 2007. And we cannot independently find it in the record. So we vacate Julie's sentence and remand solely for the district court to make the factual findings and calculations necessary to determine loss, restitution, and forfeiture as to Julie and to the resentencing of her accordingly, which is very troubling because what it seems to me is that the appeals court is basically saying we don't see that there was enough evidence to support the amount of time that Julie got. So at the end of the day, she went through this whole process, got convicted, got sentenced, is in jail, and on appeal, they're saying a whole new set of judges, we don't see it here. That's pretty scary. Let's continue. Julie Chrisley served over a year in a Kentucky facility, and according to her daughter, prison conditions are not good. Well, of course not. At one stage, Savannah mentioned the poison snake, had access to the prison. Strip searches were also alleged to have happened. Even with 2 years shaved off her original 7-year sentence, staying behind bars for a long time seemed shocking, especially as she raised minor children, Chloe and Grayson, and this would be Julie. What does it mean to vacate a sentence? According to Angus Lee law firm, when a court vacates a sentence, it means that a person might have been incorrectly sentenced. In Julie's case, it seems that the court sentenced her harshly without the appeal judges being able to find the evidence to back up her sentence. Notably, a person can be retried, but it usually leads to reduced time or an expunging of the record. So now that we're seeing a little bit of that, let's dive in at this point to what are the charges, maybe some more in-depth information about that. So keeping what we just heard in mind, now applying that knowledge to what we are now going to go through as far as kind of what brought us up or what brought them up to the place that they're in right now. All right. And this sharing comes from people. And it says that Savannah Chrisley says it will be tough. Oh, well, we'll wrap that one up at the end. Here we go. This one, again, still from people though. It says everything that we need to know about the $30 million fraud trial against Todd and Julie Chrisley. Now, let's just kind of get into it. So Todd and Julie Chrisley of USA Network's Chrisley Knows Best were indicted on 12 counts of bank and wire fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy in 2019. What were Todd and Julie Chrisley indicted for in 2019? Well, Todd and Julie were indicted on 12 counts of bank and wire fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy in August 2019 after being accused of evading nearly $2 million in state taxes between 2008 and 2016. Prosecutors also claimed that they used their production company, 7C Production, to hide over $1 million worth of their reality TV income from the IRS, and alleged that Todd directed an employee to falsify income and asset documents. The Chrisleys turned themselves in and pleaded not guilty to the charges at the time. The October 2019, the Georgia Department of Revenue cleared them of their state tax evasion charge, agreeing that the Chrisleys' Knows Best stars had overpaid for 4 years of VZO. Okay, we're going to try that again. That October 2019, the Georgia Department of Revenue cleared them of their state tax evasion charge, agreeing that the Chrisley Knows Best stars had overpaid 4 of those years and owed nothing for the other 4. In total, they had a net liability of less than $70,000 in overdue taxes for just 1 year of incorrect filing. Why were Todd and Julie Chrisley on trial? Well, although the Georgia Department of Revenue signed a settlement agreement that ended a 2-year investigation into the couple's alleged state tax liabilities, per a press release shared with People at the time, Todd and Julie continued to face federal charges for allegedly evading federal taxes during those same years. Both faced 1 count of conspiracy to commit bank fraud, 5 counts of bank fraud, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, and 1 count of tax fraud. Julie Chrisley faces additional counts of wire fraud and obstruction of justice, Fox 5 Atlanta have reported. The Chrisley's accountant, Peter Tarantino, was charged with 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States and 2 counts of willfully filing false tax returns. When Todd and Julie Chrisley's trial began, well, jury selection of Todd and Julie Chrisley's trial began on May 16, 2022, per the Tennessean. The trial lasted nearly 3 weeks in Atlanta. What was said during the Chrisley trial opening statements? Well, on May 17, 2022, Assistant U.S. Attorney Annalise Peters gave her opening statement claiming that Todd and Julie submitted false documents exaggerating their wealth to banks to borrow over $30 million that they burned on their affluent lifestyle while additionally hiding money from the IRS. They made up documents and they lied through their teeth to get whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, Peters had told the jury per insider. Todd Chrisley's attorney, Bruce H. Morris, blamed the couple's former employee, Mark Braddock, for impersonating Todd and committing the fraud behind the couple's back, reportedly turning on them after he was fired in 2012. Despite Peters deemed Braddock a fraudster, she noted that the couple continued to act even after ties with him were cut. So now we're seeing that an actual important witness of the situation is, could be looked upon as someone who may have been an individual upset about being removed and fired from working with them. So you see how the drama is kind of suing through that. Now, accountant Tarantino's attorney said that his client was in over his head and unqualified to handle the Chrisley's finances, noting that he failed the CPA exam many times over 20 years, the outlet had reported. Regardless of his lack of qualifications, the attorney noted that Tarantino is not a criminal. What punishment were Todd and Julie Chrisley facing? When the let's see if we can get their name right. When the Chrisleys were first indicted in 2019, People spoke with tax attorney Don Delia, who explained the consequences the couple could face if convicted of the alleged crimes. At the time, Delia explained that if the case does go to trial and the jury rules in favor of the government, the IRS can grab everything that they have to fulfill that debt. She noted the IRS moves from administrative to criminal when it's a very serious case, which is what they are facing. She added that if it does come out that the jury agrees, Todd and Julie could face up to 5 years in prison for tax evasion and possibly even more. Remember, they had multiple charges brought against them. What was Todd and Julie Chrisley's trial verdict? Well, after a nearly 3-week-long trial, Todd and Julie were convicted on all counts in a federal court in Georgia on June 7, 2022. They were found guilty of a conspiracy to commit bank fraud conspiracy to defraud the United States, and tax fraud, per the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Julie was also convicted of wire fraud. According to Insider, the pair's former lawyer, Peter Tarantino, was also found guilty of conspiracy to defraud the United States and will be filing false tax returns. The couple had filed a motion for bail, but it was denied on January 11, 2023. The court also denied their request to push back their surrender date by 21 days. So naturally, they went to trial, got convicted. You have that waiting period before it's time for you to turn yourself in for your sentencing, and this is the time frame that they were reflecting on. What is Todd and Julie Chrisley's sentence? A federal judge sentenced Chrisley couple on November 21st, 2022, with Todd receiving 12 years in prison and 16 months probation, while Julie received 7 years in prison plus 16 months probation, according to an insider in Fox 5 Atlanta. The Chrisleys began their prison sentence on January 17, 2023. Both Julie and Todd are serving their time at Florida correctional facilities, roughly 2.5 hours away from each other. In September 2023, the couple's prison sentences were reduced. Todd will now be released on January 22, 2033, and Julie will be released on October 19, 2028. Tarantino was also sentenced to 36 months in prison. Per Insider, the couple's former accountant reported to prison on May 1st, 2023, after undergoing hip surgery, per the outlet. Where are Todd and Julie Chrisley serving their sentences? Well, on January 17, 2023, Todd reported to Federal Correctional Institute, FPI, Pensacola in Florida, while Julie began her sentence at a different federal prison in Lexington, Kentucky. She was later transferred to Florida's Federal Correctional Institution in Marianna. A rumored documentary on the family is in the works. And in July of 2023, Savannah said she and her relatives wouldn't be involved in a rumored documentary about her family, explaining that any project on her parents' fraud trial wouldn't be accurate. In an Instagram story, the reality star revealed, Chase, Chrisley, and I were very much against the documentary happening because the truth just wasn't behind it. And Chase is, I believe, the brother. And from day one, I have said, no, 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 I was not cooperating, nor were the kids or Chase. Any documentary that does happen is all based off of lies because at the end of the day, mom and dad aren't involved. How do you get the full truth? She added. They should be able to share their side of any story that's being told, and me as their power of attorney. I obviously know the truth, and that is what it is. Lindsay also spoke out against the documentary in an episode of Southern Tea with Lindsay Chrisley. It's not really worth my time and also not fair to people. They would be documenting about people who can't potentially defend themselves in the event that they would need to defend themselves, she said of her parents. So that pretty much brings us up to how we got to the point of the Chrisleys being convicted and then said actually placed in jail to begin their sentencing. So as you can see, it's been quite an ordeal for the family. And this news of being released has been potentially quite a turn of events, if not something that maybe they felt it was going to happen. But, you know, you never really know how these things go, right? So let's now go back into the current vacated story in regards to what's going on in that portion. So notably, a person can be retired or retried, but it usually is reduced time or expunging of the records. Let's go back into that little area there. Again, as what does it mean to vacate a sentence? Now, according to Angus Lee Law Firm, when a court vacates a sentence, it means that a person might have been incorrectly sentenced. And in Julie's case, it seems that the court sentenced her harshly without the appeal judges being able to find the evidence to back up her sentence. Notably, a person can be tried, but it usually leads to reduced time or an expunging of their records. Let me also go up a little bit. Something here I wanted to share. It was shared by Savannah that, you know, about the poisonous snakes in the facility. After that, she said she shared that there were strip searches also. And she said even she was shaved off. The original sentence, stay behind bars for a long time, seemed shocking, of course, especially as she raised the minor children, Chloe and Grayson. And I believe that I've referenced those already. So yeah, so I think that puts us right back to where we were. That doesn't necessarily mean that Savannah Chrisley's mom gets to go home this week. The appeals court referred the case back to the district court. Originally, AP reported that Todd and Julie were found guilty of conspiring to defraud the IRS in tax evasion, and Julie Chrisley was convicted of wire fraud and obstruction of justice. But it seems she will likely get a home a lot sooner than previously thought. On Instagram, Savannah Chrisley had told Chrisley Knows Best fans that the appeals court could not find any evidence that attributed the $17 million loss amount to my mother. And for that, I am grateful, and I hope and pray that the judge can send her home. I am a firm believer that she will be coming home sooner rather than later. Chrisley Knows Best fans had responded, basically saying you need to know that Todd Chrisley was not found innocent of anything, and for now, his sentence will remain unchanged. However, fans of the couple seemed thrilled for Julie, and they praised Savannah Chrisley for fighting for her parents, and here are some of their thoughts. Basically, sharing that they were so thankful that they have a persistent daughter like you fighting for their release. Said, praise God, bring Julie and Todd home. Another fan shared, your parents will forever be grateful to you for fighting for them. One said that it sounds like Julie should never have gone to prison in the first place. Another said, thank goodness, praying she gets released in the near future. And another fan shared, this is a big win, one at a time, and they will be both home sooner rather than later. And so naturally, I would like to know, as well as this article was sharing, is what are your thoughts about the appeals court vacating Julie Chrisley's sentence? And do you hope that she is now free to go home? If you're at all familiar with that, once the remanded hearing restructures its findings on the loss amount attributed to Julie. So make sure you're sharing your thoughts on those in this case and what you feel about that thus far in the comment section, because I find it to be quite interesting that the appeals court couldn't find anything enough to substantiate such a lengthy time. I mean, that's quite a, I guess, a red herring type of situation. Like, you know, there was always type of alleged comments about really the way things proceeded in the court, if things were really on the up and up, all things alleged, of course. And so this kind of, you know, puts a little bit more fuel to that fire about the actual conduct of the situation at the time. So I guess we will just have to wait and see how things shake up for Julie, if she will continue to spend any more time in jail, or if she will simply be able to come home from whatever time, maybe time served, or maybe looking at the other cases, other charges that she was also, you know, convicted of, and seeing how that shapes up for her. But it will be quite interesting, and you know, time will tell. So I also further wanted to share another update in regards to Savannah's thoughts when it comes to her mother. People also were sharing that Savannah Chrisley says it will be tough for Mom Julie upon returning home from prison, not going to be easy. And I would imagine so. I mean, at the end of the day, she's, you know, a different person. She's forever changed due to the circumstances that has happened upon, you know, with the family. So there's going to be a lot of transition that's going to have to take place, right? This is something that no one would wish upon for themselves or anyone they know to go through. So of course, an adjustment is going to most certainly be needed. And one also would think, is this going to be documented in a way that'll be televised? Because this family has been, you know, reality TV for so many years. So it seems much of a natural state that they may have a camera to actually document the real life circumstances associated with this, if they're able to, you know, release to do so. So that will be something we'll be thinking about. And, you know, honestly, you know, you could kind of be thinking about that for yourself. And I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that they may actually do that? Do a documentary style and kind of give their side of, you know, their story in more greater detail than they've ever been able to do before, you know, barring that they'll be able to do that outside of whatever, you know, confines they may have as far as that is concerned. Because I do know that they both, Julie and Todd, were on Savannah's podcast that she had, and they talked about certain things up to that point, but, you know, lots has happened. So it would be interesting. Would you be interested? And as a fan, if you are one of the Chrisleys, if you are a fan, would you be interested in knowing more about whatever their story would be? Would you also be interested in seeing them back into the reality world, or think it would even possibly even happen? Let's go ahead and continue. On June 21st, a judge, as shared earlier, had vacated Julie's 7-year prison sentence, stating that the case lacked sufficient evidence. Savannah Chrisley is bracing for the challenges her mother, Julie Chrisley, may face upon her re-entry into society. Because remember, it's be about 2 years. It might be close to 2.5 by the time she comes back home. Savannah Chrisley is bracing for the challenges her mother, Julie Chrisley, may face upon re-entrance to society. And on the Tuesday, July 2nd episode of her Unlocked podcast, the Chrisley's Knows Best alum 26 opened up about a conversation she had with her mother following a judge's recent ruling about her 7-year sentence. Acknowledging how Julie may experience PTSD and her return home was not going to be easy, Savannah revealed that the two are anticipating her acclimation to be really difficult, given the things she's allegedly witnessed and the abuse she suffered. She was like, you can't leave me when I come home, right? Savannah recalled. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I know you want to have your own life and I want you to do that. But for the first few months, you're going to have to stay with me. Like, we're going to have to get adjusted. Savannah went on to explain how it broke her heart to hear how the prison system could break people in a matter of days. Just to watch my parents become so institutionalized, she continued, before adding how she corrects Julie every time she refers to herself as an inmate. You're not referring to yourself like that. You are a person and you're worth more than the things that you're saying to yourself. The Special Forces alum said that Julie's return home will be challenging and she anticipates that lots of therapy will be involved. Anything I can do to help her get in the best space she could possibly be ever in, that's what I'm going to do, she explained. Because I can only imagine how she's going to feel coming home, and it's going to be overwhelming. And when I get the call that she can come home, I honestly don't think I'm going to tell anyone. In fact, Savannah said that she plans on bringing Julie home and getting her settled without telling her younger children, Chloe and Grayson, and having them be surprised when they walk in. It's just going to be a lot to be reintegrated back into the things when you live literally in the same freaking room 24 hours a day, freaking 365 days a year, she continued. It's going to be tough for her. So that does worry me. But at the same time, we all know we can do it. On June 21st, again, a judge had vacated Julie's 7-year prison sentence, stating the case lacked sufficient evidence, but her husband Todd's conviction was upheld. The couple was first indicted by a grand jury in 2019 for tax evasion, as I shared earlier. Conspiracy and bank fraud and wire fraud were also attached to those convictions. The evasion charge was later dropped, but Todd, Julie, and their accountant were found guilty on all other counts, beginning their sentences in January of 2023. So wow. Lots there to unpack, obviously. I hope that the sharing of today allowed you to have enough information to really kind of, stay abreast of what was going on, of that interest. At the end of the day, if you take the celebrity out of the individuals, just going through something like that, it's got to be totally devastating for the family. And it does give an eye opener to all those who are in situations that, seem to be a bit murky on whether if there's guilt or not guilt there. And there's no doubt that the situation as it is with the evidence and how it came about for the sentencing, that's always forever going to be a situation that they will have to overcome. Because at the end of the day, imagine not being able to have enough of resources to allow that to even put in play, where so many people who may not even have a situation for themselves would have to continue on a sentence that really could in. So there's a lot there addressed. It opens your eyes to a lot of things, of course. And, there's just going to be a lot of conversation surrounding the release of them. I think that once Julie if she is in fact released, and that may be a big if, we'll have to see how things, play out as it also regards to the other charges and, the time associated with that. It's going to be a lot of conversation, I think. And if nothing else, if not in front of the camera, I can see, behind the mic and the podcast form of Savannah's, that probably will be a lot of information shared there. So naturally, I am interested in this case and story as well. So as things start to, take more updates, I will plan on bringing it back to the platform here and sharing that with you and getting your thoughts and sharing mine as well. And so be sure to make sure that you are doing that in the comment section, because I would love to, just have that conversation with you. We can all conversate about it, in the comment section, of course, all things respectfully. I know some people feel like they, were kind of railroaded. Some people feel, no, they got exactly what they deserve. So, or some people are kind of in the middle, I don't know how many people were really, as far as fandom, how many people were really surprised that this happened. I would imagine if you thought that they were not as guilty or guilty at all, this to you probably was inevitable to happen, but still I think it'd be a surprise, because it's not every day that you hear these types of cases and these types of situations. And so, yeah, we'll have more to come, I'm sure, with that, but definitely leave your thoughts below. So now it leads us into our last story, which is quite less legalized, if you will, but it's an interesting one, because I guess the timing would be interesting considering all the things and the upheavals that are going on in Bravo at this time. And that is, have you heard about Making It in Manhattan, a potential reality show about some of the Bravo kids now turned adults who are graduating from college or starting new businesses and such, and basically seeing them, I would imagine, living life in Manhattan. And there is several well-known celebrity and Bravo celebrities that are going to be on this show, or rumored to be on this show. And I would like to know if you're here for it, if this is something you will watch. So let's get into that. Let's find out a little bit more about that, because I was quite, thought, all right, well, this is interesting. Will I watch it? I don't know. We'll see. Now, this is according to rollingout.com, and it shares that Ava Dash, which if you know, that's Damon Dash's daughter, Riley Burris, of course, Candy Burris from Real Housewives of Atlanta, and producer, singer extraordinaire, all of that good stuff, her daughter, and Ming Lee Simmons, Kamora Lee's daughter with Russell Simmons, I believe their oldest, are rumored to star in this reality show. Rumors are swirling about a new reality TV project featuring some well-known celebrity offspring. Riley Burris, Ming Lee Simmons, and Ava Dash are speculated to star in an upcoming series on Bravo, capturing the attention of fans and social media alike. Has a star-studded lineup, they say. The buzz started when images surfaced online showing Riley Burris, daughter of Roa star Candy Burris, at a New York event with cameras rolling. Joining her were Ming Lee Simmons and Ava Dash, daughters of fashion mogul Kamora Lee Simmons and music producer Damon Dash, respectively. This trio, along with other celebrity children, have reportedly been seen filming around Manhattan. Now, the project details share that while details are scarce, the series, tentatively titled Making It Manhattan, so there might be a change to that, possibly, promises to showcase the lives of these young socialites as they navigate the complexities of fame and family legacy. The cast is rumored to include other notable names such as Gia Giudice and Connor Kennedy, adding more intrigue to the anticipated project. Viewer anticipation, despite no official confirmation from Bravo, the excitement is palpable among fans eager to see how these young stars carve their own paths. The show's potential to offer a glimpse into the glamorous yet challenging lives of celebrity children has generated a significant buzz online. As the speculation continues, all eyes will be on this potential new hit, seeing drama, luxury, and a peek into the elite circles of New York's young and famous. And this is quite interesting because I feel like it's the way that it sounds, it looks like this is what they're going to be doing. I feel like there's a lot of potential possible, but yet we're moving with this unless something comes up to change that. Now, I do find it interesting with Gia being a part of this cast. I think we might have been seeing that somewhat, haven't we, recently? There has been a lot of conversation and buzz around her inclusion, I should say, rather, in the Real Housewives of New Jersey drama that's afoot right now. And to me, it seems a bit odd that she would have much inclusion in these storylines because she is not a housewife, although she is a longtime cast member as a child of, So at this point, most of the time, us as, when we're children or young adults, we do have conversations with our family, our parents and stuff like that as, we're coming of age, if you're not, and we have our opinions about things that may be going on. So I think that they were doing a little bit of showcasing that. So some people were okay with that. Some people, you know, were a little bit turned off by it. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. So feel free to respectfully, you know, drop those down in the comment section. But it does now, knowing that this potential story or show is afoot, it kind of is probably bringing you along to get used to seeing her in that kind of a positioning, because you're going to see her now in her real life, you know, well, as much real life as it's going to be shown in a reality show, right? So yeah, this will be interesting. Are you here for it? Are you interested in yourself? Is it something that you think would possibly save the lineup of what we're hearing, the drama that is associated by some of the Bravo shows? Listen, to some people that will think that all of the Real Housewives shows are on life support. I don't know if that's necessarily true myself. I'm still watching them. I know that they're not maybe as popular because, you know, storylines and things have occurred that are not the most appealing for a reality show. So I have to say, even I am not as interested as I once used to be. In particular with Atlanta, there's a lot going on behind the scenes here with Kenya, and I do actually have some stories and you know, things to share and talk about in regards to that as well. So that will be coming down the line here in short order, really. And I'd love to know your thoughts about that as well, because there's a lot going on there, and it could potentially either make or break the season that's to come for Roa. So we'll have to see what happens, because like I said, all the drama seems to be happening now at this point off camera, not so much on camera, even though I think a lot of it stemmed from on camera. So I don't know. And as we all know, famously, it looks like Kenya Moore is no longer going to be filming, and we already know Candy had already left, and I've heard that it looked like Sheree, who had previously said she wasn't coming back, is now supposed to be coming back. So there's going to be some shakeups, and it seems like there's trying to be some activity happening to keep it going. Phaedra has also been spotted apparently filming as well for that content. I would love to see Phaedra back on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Quite frankly, I think she's great TV no matter what show she's on, but that just seems like a very good fitting for her, and I would love to see her back there as well. I love her on Married to Medicine, and so wherever she is, I'll watch her, because I get a kick out of her. It doesn't really matter, but again, Roa is like home, so I hope that she will. It will definitely, I feel, in my opinion, would help. But back to this getting into Manhattan again. I believe it's possible that one of, and I don't know if his name is Brooks, maybe that's right, and I could be wrong, which is Meredith's child from Real Housewives of Salt Lake. I think he's going to be making his way or debuting on the show as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the cast really shapes up. And of course, we see Brielle as well on here. Or is it, no, it's Ariana. What is her other daughter's name? Because they didn't reference her. Oh my gosh. It's like right there on top of my tongue. Maybe you drop it down in the comment section, because now I just lost it all together. It's not Briella. It's the other one. Audrey, I don't know. Just drop it down there for me, okay? Because I don't remember. But her picture's right there. But yeah, that she's going to be on. And we all know that Kim is going through some things as well, and with the situation with the divorce with Croy that's out there, and of course the home, whether it's going to be foreclosed or not foreclosed. And then of course there was also some rumblings of her possibly getting back on Roa as well. I don't know if how true that is. So yeah, I think there might be some speculation. Maybe there is some conversation. I guess, you know, time will tell. But I would most certainly love to know your thoughts. So make sure you leave those in the comment section about all the stories that we talked about in this video. I would love to know. Also, make sure that you're checking my live tab as well, because I have a lot of stories out there and, you know, things that I shared, and I would love to know your thoughts as well in the comment section. So yeah, I really do appreciate that. So, and I appreciate you. And I do hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm hoping that I'll be able to come back again today, but we'll see. If not today, then definitely tomorrow. So I am going to definitely just bid you adieu for this video, but I thank you so much. I hope that you are staying cool and hydrated, and I'm so glad you took some time to come and hang out a little bit, and definitely make sure you leave your thoughts on these stories. I really would like to know what you're thinking. So with that being said, I'm going to bid you adieu. Thank you so much for being here. If you have not subscribed and you're here, please go ahead and subscribe and be part of the family. We'd love to have you. For those who have already subscribed, and for my new subscribers, thank you so much for being here. And thank you all for your listening and your viewing support. It is so appreciated. I truly do appreciate it. And I truly appreciate the growing of our community here. I really do. And I love the conversation. So if you want to be a part of that and you enjoy, you know, stories of all kinds of things, whether it be celebrity or non-celebrity, we're talking about it over here, recaps, reviews, all that good stuff. Let me know in the comment section, obviously, your thoughts on these stories, as well as make sure you subscribe to be part of the family. So with that, take care, and until next time, bye.